A climbing cargo net can be one of the funnest things for the kids. You can buy an already made one in the marketplace, but they're usually quite expensive and quite small, and they may not fit your application all that great. And if you follow my tips here, it's actually pretty easy to make a custom one and pretty cheap. The climbing cargo net you see here is a very tall one. It's 10 feet high. And it provides some inspiration of just what you can do if you make a custom cargo net. But you'll probably make one that just comes straight down instead of this mirrored double twisting helix that you see here. Making your own climbing cargo net, you can make a really tall one that's heavy duty, and one that'll be the kids' favorite accessory. Now my favorite rope to make this with is this 5/8 inch nylon rope. It's silky soft on the kids' fingers, it doesn't stretch, and it's a dock line, a boat dock line, so it holds up to the elements. But most importantly, for this type of knot we'll be making, this rope forms the knot really well and the knot holds really well. And I'll provide a link here to this rope in the video description and on my website at roomtozoom.com. By contrast, on the spool here is a thicker 3/4 inch rope. Being 3/4 inches, it's a stiffer rope, and though that might be nice for the kids, it's a harder to form knot. You can see it makes a looser knot, which isn't going to hold quite as well, and again, it's harder to form. Now I've also tested out this 1/2 inch cotton rope, and while it's soft on their fingers, it's too stiff for the knots to hold well, and it won't hold up well to the elements. This 5/8 inch rope just checks all the boxes, and then even better, it's cheaper than all the rest. And it's twice the thickness of most of the ropes used in the commercially made cargo climbing nets that you can buy in the marketplace, which means that kids will just have a way greater experience. Working with this rope, as with any rope, it will fray if you don't treat the ends. So where you're going to cut, you'll want to wrap both sides of the cut with some tape. I'm using electrical tape here. You place the tape about 1/2 inch apart from each other, and then cut right in the middle with the sharpest scissors you can find. And while you can then seal the ends with some super glue, I've found that a small can of polyurethane is way faster. You just dip it in, and you just hang it over something to dry. After it dries, you take the tape off, and then you dip it 2 more times, a total of 3 times, letting it dry between each time. Now there's different ways that you can hang the rope from the top. One way is to drill holes through the top. You can just put in a simple knot on the back side. I like inserting these sticks into the knot so that if I ever want to take the cargo nut down, I can just take the sticks out and that knot will be loose enough to undo. But as I mentioned before, I like using these dock lines. Each one is 20 feet long, has a loop on the end, and for a typical cargo net you want 6 of these. They come in packs of 2, so you just buy 3 packs of 2, and they just loop over the beam with these stops to keep them from sliding off the beam, but at any time you can lift them over the stops to take the whole cargo net off. And then, having first pre-drilled into the lumber with a 5/16 bit, I then insert this 3/8 lag screw, which is about 4 or 5 inches long, through a 3/8 washer, a 1/2 inch washer, and through the 3/4 copper coupling. And then to hold the bottom ends of the ropes, you need ground anchors. The most typical climbing net will have 4 ropes coming down, so you'll need 4 anchors. And these anchors here do come in a set of 4, which is handy. Let me just say that these are the only ground anchors you should consider. These are the only anchors that will go into just about any type of ground. All the other anchors out there in the marketplace will work maybe 20% of the time. They hit a little rock and you're done. You can't get it in. And these are stronger than the other anchors, but they don't cost any more. And I'll link to them in my description and on the website. And you do need to use ground anchors, not only for the climbing experience, but also for safety, so that the kids can't wrap loose rope around any part of their body. So hang your 4 ropes. Each one of these dock lines is 20 feet long. They're being hung here on a 10-foot tall swing set. You'll say to yourself that that means you'll have 10 feet of rope left over at the bottom, but not true, because each knot you put in the rope on the way down uses up about 6 inches of the rope. So starting from the top, you start adding in the horizontal ropes. You'll be using what's called a crown knot, and when you look at it here, you'll say, man, that looks difficult. And the first couple that you do will seem difficult. But after you get 3 or 4 under your belt, you'll be like, oh, piece of cake. You can watch just a minute or two of this YouTube video to get the idea, and I'll link to it in my description. And then, as I said, after you've done a few, they're really easy to do, and you can put in each complete horizontal rope in just 3 minutes or so. Now the square openings I'm forming here in this cargo net are about 13 inches wide and 13 inches tall. And when you're planning your cargo net design, an industry safety guideline is that you want the openings to be smaller than 4 inches wide or larger than 8 inches wide, and not something in between. Put another way, the industry standard is that the circumference of the opening should be greater than 28 inches. In other words, an opening that is 8 inches wide would have a circumference of about 32 inches. A cool thing about this knot is you can come back to any knot you've made in the entire cargo net and loosen it up and raise it up or down or move it left or right. And there you have it, how to make a custom climbing cargo net for your own swing set design. And as always, come see us at roomtozoom.com for more ideas, more how-tos, and free swing set designs.